All right. Welcome, everybody, to our NCBB game of the week between the Hawaii Warrior Elves and the UNAM Pumas Malditas. This is a battle between number one and number two, but it depends on who you talk to is number one and number two. Some sources have Hawaii as the best team, others have UNAM, so lucky for us, we're going to find out on the field. Is that Bazakastine I hear in the booth?
Yes.
Welcome aboard, sir.
I didn't know there was going to be a game on, but
It
here
was
I am.
supposed to be early this morning, and then they pushed it back, and then Menno was late because apparently they had the time change where he is, but not where we are, so we're finally getting it going.
That sounds about right. So, uh, two teams that have done really well then.
So far, so good. UNAM sitting at 5-1-0, and that's according to Fumble's record, so that's 5 wins, 1 tie, 0 losses. Hawaii sitting at 4-2-0, so both teams still undefeated. This is an AKC conference game, so bragging rights, conference lead, and perhaps playoff implications all on the line in one single game.
Yeah. I think we've got probably a pretty big style contrast here. But between like the goals of each of these two coaches, game to game.
And just taking the field is the Hawaii defense with the newly minted Strength 5 catcher Melquise Stovall. So he's been doing some strength training, it looks like.
Too bad he doesn't know how to do anything else yet.
I mean, he can catch and run.
Yeah. I mean, that is catching is 100% what I want my strength five doing. So,
Fair point.
um, okay, what else do we got here? Got Mikel Ely. That's a pretty nice. It's a pretty nice catcher down at the bottom.
Yep.
Lodstep 9 MA and 20 TV of float.
I will say that Mr. Ely, he's got a reputation as a guy who just has butterfingers, despite all the stats and the SPPs and everything else. Like he's dropped quite a few important passes for Hawaii over the past couple seasons, but
Yeah, I
regardless,
mean there's some interesting elves on this team for sure. Got a little bit of guard floating around.
a couple
I
niggling
mean
injuries as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some AV6, there's some niggling injuries, and I'm looking at I think Binjas Dorama is licking its chops over there on the other side.
Yeah, two very good Wolves. They do opposite things, so it's a very good tandem. Alfonso Martinez, movement 9 plus agility. No block yet, so he's still a bit vulnerable, but his partner in crime, as you said, Benyas Dorama, tackle, mighty blow, block, minus MA, but not a huge deal, hopefully. Till
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say both these teams have a similar issue right now where they have quite possibly their next great one, but they don't have the basic skills on them you'd want to see yet. Just really raw players, but incredibly talented.
First world problems, I guess. Tail the tape between these two. Both swept conference play so far, 3-0 for both of them. UNAM, of course, 2-1-0, and out of conference Hawaii 1-2-0. But touchdowns this season, both have scored 12. UNAM a little better on defense, only 3 allowed through 6 games. Hawaii 5 allowed through 6. A little different on the casualties, +6 for UNAM, -5 for the Warrior Elves. So 18 versus 12 for UNAM, positive, negative, 9 and 14 for Hawaii, for and against. So, as you said, a little bit of a contrast between the two. Hawaii wants to ball. UNAM apparently not bad at balling either, but certainly more adept at a little bit of bash.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure I know who the people are rooting for in this one.
The people are cheering for a good game, of course.
No, they're rooting for UNAM until Appijar learns how records work.
True, but we're going to see how a blitz works. This is also why you should start a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, perhaps. There's nothing really to be gained by being that far back, right? Just, I suppose, one square back, but still.
Yeah, I mean, one square is one square. Like I mean, it's a lot of space you're giving up. Even like, there's not all that much benefit to it. I mean, you're not making it so he can't blitz you,
Mm.
right? He's necro, so like he can blitz with a white and then get him back. It's not like you're gonna get someone stranded. And then obviously this happens. Although I do have to say, really strong anti-blitz defense from Minnow here. Even if the offensive setup was up one, there's not really anything he can do with this.
Chooses to go after the guard zombie and stuns him, so it doesn't look like he's going to be sending anybody through, which is probably the good play for Hawaii because even if you get somebody back there, the ball happened to go right next to the ball carrying ghoul. The werewolf's back there to blitz anything that gets through, so
Yeah, I
not a
really
huge
like how he's
blitz.
playing this turn. It's I mean, now he took what was a setup that was a little too passive, just a little too far back, and now he's in a position where like Minnow really has to sit and think, okay, I can't fail this pickup here.
True. Also, can't throw the wolf block first thing as you would normally on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine we're just going to see him. Well, we'll see. Uh, I'm curious if he blocks the white free or if he blocks with the white and then the flesh golem and then has
I
the wolf.
assume the golem was going for the AV6, and then maybe the white, and then maybe the wolf would still be frenzy trapped potentially.
Yeah, but well, no, that's a
Well,
guard there.
he could go down. Yeah, he could go through the AV. I know Hawaii had another good blitzer, but he met his demise earlier this season. So now Sterling Ortiz has some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I mean
Go ahead.
that's the big gap right now I'm seeing. I mean, there's a lot of players you look at and it's like, okay, they could use more, but that's the player that could really take the team to another level at this point.
Also, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that they lost a legend, a living legend who had literally all the passing records in NCBB history, Mr. Zach Daniels. He met his demise too earlier this season. So Hawaii winning, but at what cost, I suppose?
Yeah, but we got a new thrower who's come in and is putting up the stats in a hurry. Already 9 completions in 4 games going into
Safe
this one.
throw, strong arm, interesting. Interesting going safe throw. I suppose with his style of play it makes sense, but accurate, sure hands. I mean, those are skills that I
Yeah, I mean
significantly
it's
like.
the one thing is it's like people talk about the passing game as not being optimal,
Mhm.
and that's often true. But the one thing is like if you decide like, hey, this is how I want to play, this is what I want to do, then going all in on it like Apo Jar does is the way to go. Because I do think like, yeah, throws are bloaty, but they're fine. Like, oh no, the only thing he does is makes my offense awesome.
Yeah, it's really hard to defend if you have the ball carrier on, let's say, your goal line essentially, and the opponent has to cover three downfield threats and try to get to the ball without giving up contain. I mean, that's not an easy task.
Yeah, and then just looking at the team in general, I mean, it's he's got a couple guard, 3 guard, not bad. Although, not two of them are not in great spots. I mean, AV6 guard's kind of tough to carry, um, which is kind of the big thing you're seeing here. Is it's the kind of team that could absolutely implode at any moment. But there's a lot of interesting um, things here. I'm curious where he wants to take that strength 5.
Yeah, I know defense has not been Hawaii's calling card over the years. I mean, this season they've only allowed 5 touchdowns, which is very good. But not a lot of defensive skills per se. They don't have a lot of wrestle or. I mean, there's some sidestep. Obviously, you have it built in with the blitzers. Catchers are starting to get it. There's a strip ball up top, but not a single wrestler to my knowledge. Which is not something you have to have, but it's just a very nice tool.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking at this. I believe one, two, so 6 games in. Yeah, and 3 of those 5 touchdowns were allowed in the season opener against TCU, which I believe you did as well, and I was briefly on early in the game.
That sounds about right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, and then a couple draws against Berea and Duke um, before before kind of taking off the last few weeks with a couple blowout wins over UW, Northern Virginia, and BYU.
Yeah, beating UW is no easy task. Usually MRT is a handful for just about anybody. That's a nice takedown of one of the Wolves as well.
And then on the other side of things, we have the return of UNAM.
Program that went back quite some time. I forget exactly when he was in the league. It wasn't that long ago. Perhaps seasons like 28 through 30 or so. And
No,
is
so
go ahead.
his last title game was in 2019. So like a year and a half about is how long he was out.
Okay.
A little less than that. So yeah, I mean he was only gone a few seasons, but he left. Oh, was it maybe the season? Like I think we've probably had 3 or 4 seasons since then. I guess. Does that sound about right?
Probably. I can double check the champions page real quick. Let's see. So he was definitely involved in the season 27 championship because that's the one that he has the asterisk victory for after the Roll of Gold program was found to be using ineligible players after the fact. And then I know he was in the season 28 championship against Maryland because Maryland and UNAM were basically neck and neck the whole season. UNAM had a ghoul going for the rushing record. Maryland had a skink going for the exact same thing, and they would literally pass each other every week. They meet in the championship game. UNAM does everything in their power to take that skink off the field, but he just refused, as skinks are wont to do, because sometimes they're pretty resilient little bastards. And he ended up carrying the team to victory. So UNAM not quite there yet. The Cinderella, the bridesmaid, etc., but looking to perhaps get back to their rightful place at the top.
Yeah, I mean it's 74 games, 11 losses. That's pretty damn strong. We kind of expected him to come in and be competing right at the top again, and it looks like in the early going at least, that might be what's happening.
Yeah, AKC is a pretty interesting conference. Last season we had both Hawaii and GotW as the two kind of power players. Hawaii ended up winning the conference outright with conference record, but GotW ended up going to the playoffs as the number 2 seed, if I recall. But they fell to Duke in the semifinal. And UNAM's looking to, stake their claim as king of the AKC. What do you want? Get down from there. Cats. Who needs them?
But yeah, I mean we've already got 3 out on the elves.
In 2 turns, it's not great.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna choose to not go on a fouling rant, but I somehow missed that.
Wait, what did we miss? There was the wolf that.
Yeah, the wolf got fouled and he got banned.
Wait, what?
Fouling wolf.
Is my game behind
One
or
of
something?
No, one of the elves got banned last turn.
Oh.
I missed that. Is all I'm saying.
I must have his N in Agility 5. I mean, Agility 5 Lino, who still dodges onto 2, is not that much different, but.
Yeah, I mean yeah, that's not a skill that's really paying dividends for a while anyway. And I mean, I get it. Like if you can take out that wolf, it's a pretty big deal. Except for the fact that your pro elves, like whites do the same thing that wolf does.
Yeah, I mean, a zombie can breathe on your line elf and he might fall over and get knocked out.
Yeah, so like it's, I mean, there is the tilt factor, and it would have been real if you killed it. But I think that.
Oh my god! What is your problem?
it's an understandable foul, but now you're here. I mean, and then with the amount of blocks that you know UNAM's getting this turn, like this drive is already done.
I mean, he's down, what, 4 players already now? And it's
Yeah, I
turn
mean,
2?
unless something crazy happens, we're gonna be looking at turn 8 score for UNAM, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've noticed a little bit about Hawaii's defense is they do mark a bit more than I think could be necessary with Pro Elves. It's not a team that I have a ton of experience with, but considering that you're AV7 and you don't have a ton of defensive skills like Wrestle, and there's another player out, so that's yeah, this half is pretty much in the
Yeah,
books.
I mean, as someone who's 4-0-4 all time with Pro Elves,
Hmm.
I'm not really gonna sit here and make any claims. Uh, but I do get with AV7 wanting to force the issue quickly, but it's like, yeah, half your team's gone. There's only 7 blocks and a foul, so like, yeah, you're kind of unlucky to have 4 out there, but you did. I mean, one of these guys is out by your own doing,
One's
and
AV6.
there's the fact that for every player you lose, the more Minnow can just foul with abandon, right? Because if he got caught in the foul and it was like, oh no, I'm only up 10-7, um, doesn't really matter. And I mean, it was a guard he fouled. Like, that's a understandable choice. Although I would probably hold my fouls for the catchers at this point. The blood strip ball. I guess you don't really care about that, but still getting him out. Because I want to hand the ball off to Alfonso this drive. Like, that has become the new drive goal, is to score on that wolf.
Yeah, I can see that.
And if I could get enough out, I might even try to throw some passes with that wolf.
I'd almost want to give it to the Flesh Golem, who's at 15, but he'll probably get an MVP in the next couple of
Ooh,
games.
never mind. That's better.
I don't know. The Wolf, though, he needs it. And if you get him to
The wolf needs it.
27, tag him with
He's
an
not going to
MVP,
get it.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm also thinking everyone needs to get the fact that random MVPs are going away into their head, or
Aw.
coming back, and people are actually going to have to play Blood Bowl to skill their players again.
There's a aggressive reroll, but you may
And
not
again,
need them
it's like,
as much as have.
yeah, there's not much of a downside there. Also, that's you know arguably the player you'd most want to put a boot in out of what's left.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can get a
Because
couple guys over there, but
I mean, you can almost you can make one turn really hard even with that player, but you can't completely make it impossible for him to get that one push. Even if you're willing to put your ball carrier ghoul on the line of scrimmage to get 2 Sam from in a sidestep,
hmm.
you can play around that. But um, I think that we're going to see a boot on Ely here soon enough.
I suppose we should mention that there are 3 inducements, and it's actually 3 dirty tricks for UNAM. So not only are they, already winning the battle on the field by knocking out 4 elves and getting 1 ban, that's nothing they did per se, but they also have some tricks up their sleeves that could, further assist them. Perhaps grease shoes if there is that 1 turn attempt at the end of the half, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Now I will say everything's KOs. So like if you're Hawaii, I'm not real worried about the game, but I'm probably thinking it's about time to just throw in the towel on this drive.
Yeah, if you can wiggle your guys like north or something and kind of get them out of range and convince Meadow to just kind of like leave them. He's not. He's going to send the wolf after them or the white, but I don't know. Maybe you can get a shot on the wolf, and we've seen plenty of wolves in the NBFL specifically for Carolina just get absolutely destroyed over the past couple seasons. He lost yet another one last night or 2 nights ago, if I recall. It's
Yeah,
Class just has no luck with that team.
those Necro will probably be in sunset at the end of the year.
If I had to guess, yeah.
I mean, that's inside knowledge here.
Fair enough.
Going to be a little more moving around of some people because there's somebody who really wants to be in Carolina. So
Wouldn't be Wog, would it?
yeah,
Nice.
and there's already Necro in the division he'd be going into. I will keep it a secret what he's going to be switching to, though.
There's another foul there. That should be number 2. Nothing too serious, just a stun.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that's hard for me. Is like I'm not a fouler to begin with,
Right.
but the fact that fouls are limited in how many of them you get in this league. Like it's not just okay, is this foul worth a ban? Is it worth my position? Is this a player that is worth trading? It's also, well, I only get 4 of these. Do I play this card now?
Mm.
I'm guessing Minno's plan is to get all 4 in this drive, which makes sense. It's much easier to not fuck things up when you're fouling on offense than on defense.
True. It's easy to overcommit on defense and give up an entire flank.
But I mean, you look, it's okay. The guard, the AV6 guard. I mean, you're gonna, I'd be hesitant to foul the AV6 at this point just because I want casualties. But this one down here at the bottom, I mean, I think you have to foul Ely. It's just the way you lose this game includes Ely being on the field.
Well,
and there we go.
Here it comes. All right, blatant foul for anybody who's not super familiar. The next foul breaks armor automatically for this turn. So, assuming Mr. Ely is the target, you're going to kind of screen off these catchers, probably blitz one of them out the way to give yourself more assists.
You don't need any assists. It's auto break, so you don't need an assist.
But it looks cool when you surround them with like 9 players.
I gotta say, UNAM,
how they have no dirty players? I was getting to that, but
how the hell do you have no DP, man? Minnow, like, come on, like you got to be you, man. And like I said at the beginning of my team's run, I was gonna have some dirty players, and that hasn't happened. But that doesn't surprise anyone at all.
Right.
So I'm sitting here like, come on, man, get some dirty players. Kill some fools, like just do what you do.
I imagine it's not for lack of effort. It's possible he graduated a bunch of senior zombies after his last run, and then none of them have just snagged MVPs. And Mr. Poro, for example, he decided to roll doubles for guard. He's like, well, I can't foul now. I'm too valuable, relatively.
Yeah, it looks like he's had a few in the past, but I imagine a big part of it too is like you basically have to spend MVPs to chase it, and like he's been having to skill that golem. He's been having to skill that wolf.
Yeah.
Probably trying to get the guard zombie to block. A lot going on there. But yeah, it does make this like a little worse. Anyway, this drive, it's, as I said, there's not a ton to discuss here because it's like, okay, can we just skip to turn 8, see how many elves are left? Move on to the second half.
Yeah, I suppose we could discuss what's going on around the league. I'm going to use the Uber standings page, so this should be up to date. John Molson is listed as the number 1 team in the nation, but they've also played their 7th game, unlike these 2 teams. True, they are 6-0-1, but still very impressive start for John Molson's School of Bruising, also from the AKC, so apparently that's just the power conference this season. They've got literally the top 3 teams listed here, and another
that sounds like bias to me. I'm going to be honest.
It's possible. I'm not going to mention the fact that Apajar is number 2 in his own rankings.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to say it right here. I guarantee no one from the AKC wins the title.
Oh.
Guaranteed.
Wow. All right. If Washington had any hopes of doing so, they needed a better result than they got last night, because I think Washington took on John Molson, and the Bruisers got the job done there. Let me double check. Yep, 2-0 in favor of John Molson over Washington. So the Huskarls probably won't be making a run of their own, but still several games left to go this season. One of these 2 teams you think would be like eliminated with a loss here, but that'd still be their first loss. Florida's sitting at number 5 with 3 wins, 4 ties. Go ahead.
Can you link me whatever you're looking at?
Yes. Yeah, I've done a very poor job of updating the group page this season. There you are. The Nelphine had been helping me a lot last season. There's our foul. and nothing hasn't had time, so I've just not wanted to recode everything.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, so the foul, we got a KO, but again, all KOs. I mean, 5 KOs. Like, okay, I get 75% of those back for my drive. That's enough. It really is.
For pro ups, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so the one thing is, it's like just early in the season, right? Like, it's like, okay, so there's 3 AKC teams, right? And then there's really 4 of them. Like, how many of those games have they played against each other? You know, like
3-ish, 4-ish so far.
well, but John Molson School of Bruising, their loss was to Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't played either of these teams. These teams are playing each other for the first time.
Right.
So all 3 games between them, I mean, that's going to come out in the wash as we go. And we'll see if one, maybe they can get 2 in. You know, it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be an interesting run down the stretch, I think. The Big Beast looks I mean, there looks like there might be a slight favorite there. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so far so good, but not an easy road to peruse. I know the records aren't great across the board, but there's some solid teams out there. I mean, UTEP earlier today just knocked off Fayetteville, and Dark's team, couldn't roll, above a 1 to save their life half the time, but, you can't count that Nurgle team out, or the Dwarf team, gives me problems in the past. I've got Demons of Corn this week, so if they, pop off with their frenzy and their, bloodlust, metaphorical bloodlust, could be a tough time. FPC, currently Air Force is in the lead with a 3-1-1 record. They are missing a game, but Duke not quite above the hump yet. They're 2-3-1. Your Texas AM team 2-3-0, missing a game as well. They've fought Duke to a tie. Florida State missing some games. Go ahead.
Yeah, I tied both Florida State and Duke, and I missed my game against Charlotte. Okay. So the next game's Gym. I played Gym on Tuesday.
Ooh.
And then I don't know the exact order. I think it goes Gym, Roto, Tim, Service, maybe.
Okay.
But those are my next 4 games in some order before Bill again. So, you can stop complaining about my banjo ratings.
Yeah. Because our
it will work its way out one way or the other.
It did. It just seemed weird. I was like, a 2-win team sitting at number 5. I know you're undefeated, but sometimes you just gotta question the computers before you accept everything you see.
Yeah. I really wish I got one of those 3. Although I probably should have lost at least one of those 3 as well. So
I remember the game against Mid-State. Like, I don't think you had any business getting out of there with a tie, but you somehow fandangled it.
Yeah, that one was tough. We're up to 7 out. We've got 1 foul left, and it's being made. And another KO.
And he gets caught this time. But the argue works. Of course.
They argue. It's like, look, man, it's our last one. We're not going to do anymore. And they're like, fine.
As long as you promise to stop fouling.
Yeah. I mean, I love, style clashes.
Mm-hmm.
Although I would say, I mean, especially in an NCBB-like environment, Necro are a sneaky problem for elves.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a lot that's a little hard to deal with. But yeah, no. So my conference will be interesting to see how it goes down the stretch. I think there's so many games left to be played.
Yeah, most teams have 4 left. Some have already played their week 3. There's gonna be some makeups, so some teams have 5. The SEC is interesting. It's a team a conference that we've kind of downplayed a bit over the past few seasons, somewhat jokingly. Florida is still undefeated, as we said, 3-4-0. TCU, freshman's team, you can never count out. Ohio Wesleyan, Jeff Rose Pro Elves. They're having the same problem that Applejar is going through in this first half, is they can't stay in the field. And their best player, who's like a strength 4...
done 15 casualties with Pro Elves. How?
That is a fair question, actually. That's
incredible.
Is that right?
Yeah,
that didn't sound right. I'll trust Uber's.
he must have lit someone up. Um, but yeah, no, I mean there's an interesting group. I mean, I love the mix of races in the SEC. I think that it's just a fascinating group of teams. You've got everything from like literally the like least agile teams in the game to the most agile teams to the game. And then you got humans sitting there in the middle.
Mhm.
It's a fun group.
I mean, just to cover it for people who can't see the screen, we've got Nurgle, Human, Pro Elves, Skaven, Orc, Dwarf, Chaos Dwarf, and Tomb Kings. And the Chaos Dwarfs were a mid-season sub-in for... Oh god, who was it? High Elves? I think it was High Elves, so it got a little skewed that direction, but still. Very good group. A lot of teams with 2 wins in conference, 1 winning conference, so still up in the air.
Yeah,
A
real up.
case... Go ahead.
It might be hard for them unless Garnett can, stay undefeated and get a couple of wins under his belt. It might be hard for any of them to crack the playoffs. Just looking at it, because they've all, suffered. I mean, everyone but Garnett's already suffered at least 1 loss in conference, and none of it's. They almost all took losses out of conference, so it might just be hard to get in that top 4. But it should be a great race for the conference itself. It's very Pac-12-ish.
That's a pretty good assessment. A lot of very solid teams that can beat each other any given week, but no world beaters, per se. Let's see. AKC we've discussed at length. The SMAC's interesting. We've got St. Louis sitting there at 4-1-1, a team we haven't really talked about the last few seasons. Ohio's at 3-0-1, so several missed games so far. Same thing with SMU, 3-0-1 with several missed games, and SMU is a team that we were very high on early because they were, undefeated for the most part. They swept out of conference and then, missed some games due to real life stuff. Oregon with a very disappointing season. I mean, they've only had 1 loss, but they only have 1 win because they have 4 ties. So every single one of their games is close, and just the little things add up, and they can't get over the hump right now. Indiana, quick shout out to G. Anthony, or Ganthony, however you'd say his coach name. 2 wins. Go ahead.
Minnow, hand the ball to somebody.
Oh, is he not handing it off to the Wolf? Oh. He might do it next turn.
Yeah, sure, but there's 0 reason to not do it last turn. Or the turn that he's currently on.
Well, now that he used another reroll. Yeah, the Wolf makes a lot of sense. Agility 4, pretty good odds. Can't hand it off to a Flesh Golem at this point.
I hand off to a Flesh Golem and he passes to the Wolf, and everything's great.
That would be the most optimal if it worked.
And that's what we're about here.
Optimization, baby.
Anyway, yeah. So which one are we looking at? The Smack?
Correct.
Who did Fool lose to? That's what I want to know.
It was in conference, so let me double check. Schedule. Tournaments. KC Smack. Okay, St. Louis. Wow, they lost the first round of conference play against Indiana. And then haven't lost since.
Okay, well, I mean, it'll be interesting down the stretch. Lots of games there. I mean, we're kind of at that point where it's like, we have an idea, but there's a long way to go in a lot of these conferences right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, SMU's only played 1 conference game, which they lost due to... Well, they've lost, and then due to IRL reasons, they haven't played any more so far. The UAC, the new conference, and I don't remember what it stands for, the Underwear Athletic Conference? I don't know.
I know.
Yeah, Ottawa's leading right now at 4-1-1, very quietly going about their business. Have swept conference play so far at 3-0-0. And, no more Julian Starr. I think they have another goal that's kind of taking the reins, but let's see where they got. Michelle Lowen, MA block sure hands, 1 SPP away from yet another skill. So, teams solid after losing Star. Obviously, the TV dropped tremendously, so they're running 1600 right now. It's very different than usual. So you can't really sleep on Ottawa, despite their early loss to Gal Duet. Kansas is a surprise this season, 4-0-1. That's Mayuso's Norse, so very surprising run
That's
for them so far.
it's a strong start.
Yeah. Dufert with a
Yeah,
respectable 4-0-2, number 3 in the conference, so Paris.
yeah, but they can't beat. They can't win rivalry games, man.
Well, I mean, Bretonians are tough, so what can you do?
um, yeah, he scored on me, which has happened
Gasp.
3 times this season now.
That's kind of a low number.
That's too many. No more. No more touchdowns this season.
If only it were that easy, right?
I allowed like 1 touchdown in my last like 7 games last season.
That's true. But the BCS is a little different from the non-AQ.
Yeah, instead of winning 1-0, I tie 1-1.
There you
go. But yeah, I mean,
there's our touchdown. Let's take a look at these KO rolls. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 7? 4 out of 8? 1, 2, 3. 4 out of 7, so it's not
4 out of 7. And the Wolf stays out, which is the bigger thing. Now, I'm not sure it's the 4 you wanted back necessarily. Well, no. I mean, I guess you're reasonably happy with this. It's just like it's hard to say. Now, I will say, yes, his 1 turner's back. You have the ability to make it damn near impossible for that to matter.
Okay, so he's making the right play by putting the sidestep in the middle. So risking Elrond and his health and his future for the 1-turn defense. Okay. Now this is a little more complicated.
He's doing his little Christmas tree thing, which for those of you who don't know, there's a reason you don't see people do this very often.
I think it works here though with the sidestep, right? Because this can be so difficult to get back and fill that line, right?
I mean, well, let's see how he finishes it. But like literally all he has to do here, and yeah, it's not great. Like you don't love having to do it, but you take that little frenzy blitzer right there. You do that 4+ dodge with dodge. You frenzy the zombie on rank 11 across line of scrimmage. Boom, touchdown range.
I mean, you are movement 9 with sprint, so
you only need the 1.
You only need 1. What if you just roll a quick snap or a riot and have the clock turn back?
I mean, yeah, but that's like it probably no matter what he does, But yeah, like having to have guys on the second row, it just like it, especially against Frenzy, it degrades the integrity of the defense a lot. Yeah, it makes it tough for him to get to the sidestep. He's not going to be able to get 3 on him, but there's a pretty easy play.
Okay, so for example, we're going to go up top and target Ty Detmer, right? So we're going to dodge in between the wolf and the zombie and get to column 10, and then push him back towards the line with Frenzy and push our catcher 1 and let him do his thing.
And he's in range. So like basically what you do is you take, you mark Detmer in the corner with a space between him and the flash column. Mark, take out the wolf's assist, dodge through, push once. Then the second push, you're going to have 3 guys on the line of scrimmage. And then right in the corner, like right between the wide zone and the end zone is where you have your sidestepper. He steps up 1. And then you might be able to even get another push or 2 on him. This is a little bit better.
Better? Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely an improvement. Like I lost a playoff game due to having to MRT and NBFL due to having someone on that second level when I shouldn't have.
Yeah, those games are killers. The ones where you like do everything right, it's going your way, and there's like one positioning mistake, your opponent sees it, capitalizes on it, and you never get another chance again.
Yeah, but Rise is dead, so it doesn't matter anymore.
I mean, I'm sure MRT can grow more 1-turners.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be worried with them. But yeah, now that he's moved back onto 10, like yeah, it goes from being like I don't know the exact percentage, but like a reasonable chance to now it's like okay, this is harder. I think it's still doable, but like I don't think we're going to see it done. I think it might be possible to like set up a chain where you can still sidestep with Ely. Like if you go and
push the zombie.
Yeah, you push the zombie twice, and the second one you have it set up so it's like a full chain push.
Right.
I'm just looking at it. You definitely can do it, but it's like there's a lot going on there,
Hmm.
I think I've seen MRT do that actually, where he used Frenzy on someone who rode 10. He might. Yeah, I think.
Nothing would shock me about that.
What?
Nothing would shock me about that if he had done it successfully.
I've definitely seen it done. I was gonna try it once, but I got a quick snap, so I didn't need to. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never seen. I haven't watched enough of Apple to really know how good he is at the whole one turning thing. I don't know if it's something that's even across his mind. The way he's setting up, I think he's just playing for the riot and or quick snap, which is I mean, it's still a chance.
Yep. Does have a reroll if he needs it. Instead, we get throw a rock. And of course, it goes for the Hawaii thrower.
But whoever threw it's not quite strong enough.
Let's see. I'm trying to think, like, if you had the frenzy to push him to column 12, and then you have somebody ready below him or above him, and then you push, then there are ways to do it, I suppose, but I guess we'll just take our completion and go into the half, get some more players back, and see what the second half has in store.
I mean, as I said, is it doable? Yes. I mean, I'm just looking. You need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it would be really cool if we see it.
One day, maybe.
I mean, it's just I'm trying to see if he has the players. Okay, so not happening. Yeah, it's doable, but as I said, it's hard, and it's not the kind of play I would expect anyone to even try to make. But I do think that it is technically possible.
If it's a big game, like a championship game, a playoff game, or even, this contest is pretty big for both these teams. It's something you may need to think about in the back of your head about learning how to do down the road.
So, can we foul a flesh golem?
I wouldn't, unless that's the minus AV one, which it's not.
It's not.
And he fouls it, but
I mean, if I was going to foul, I would have fouled the other one. It's the exact same because they're both. I mean, it's the same chances to break, and it's obviously more value on the better one.
Yeah, he's pretty good despite the minus AV.
But I don't mind the foul just because now that's one less foul he can use later.
True.
So just like get the temptation out of the way. Gark's catcher. Somebody noticed it and was like, "What the hell is this?" And was like, "Why would he have taken strength?" Because it really is such a bad skill on that player.
Considering how many times I've seen him roll ones the past couple weeks, yeah, I mean he needs sure feet or block or something.
Yeah, he needs nothing he does needs plus strength.
That's true.
Nothing at all.
He just needs to go and get the ball.
And I told him this at the time, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is dumb," but everyone wanted him to take it, and he was like, "Fine." I would never would have because I don't give a shit about anyone else's fun.
Fair enough. I don't remember the exact order he rolled those 5 stat increases, but
he rolled the strength last.
Oh. What a freak.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the plus MA plus. Morehouse had a war dancer like that in ranks that was hell to deal with.
Oh, I can imagine.
Then ended up with sidestep and sure hands, maybe? Or is it tackle? I think sure hands for some reason. Which is now weird in retrospect.
Yeah, that's a little...
Anyway, it was a pain in the ass is what it was. And then I gave it a nice little minus edge.
A little love tap.
I think because Morehouse, every single legend Morehouse ever got, I permed or killed. Me of all people. Like, that doesn't make sense. He plays Minnow just as much as he plays me. How the hell did I do it?
No, that's pretty on brand. He's more willing to risk his guys against you. He's like, oh, he's not gonna foul them or hurt them. That's not really his MO. Boom.
And then I
Burn.
didn't. It was just like I think it was my vampire team that got one and my rat team that got the other. It was just both the normal blitzes. Might have had Mighty Blow, but just
random hits, yeah.
Anyway, second half. Hopefully, this is more exciting than the first. We see Minnow is saying you will not score quickly, which if I'm Apogee, I'm not sure I want to score quickly.
Yeah, that's kind of how he plays, but it's not really good.
Yeah, I mean, what records are 5-1-0 versus 4-2-0. So if you're Apogee and you take a draw, and you're like, okay, if I win out and anyone upsets Minnow, I win the conference.
Right.
Well, if he loses this, then he's falling pretty far behind.
Now, this is the defensive setup that's pretty standard. You can change the line of scrimmage to, be slanted one side or the other, or spread out the three guys. But this setup in particular, when we were playing against each other in the Rat League, I didn't really know how I wanted to attack it because I didn't really have any actual hitters, and all my stat freaks still needed skill. So my team was never great, but I ended up just kind of clicking around the first turn, and then you got a shot on my ball carrier, and then you failed or something. And the first we had a scoreless first half in the Skaven draft. How does that happen?
Such a mess of the game.
That was weird. But what do you want to do here on offense? Just in general, not particularly pro Ops.
I mean, it kind of depends, right? I mean, well, in most teams, you don't really need to do anything. You just kind of sit there, block the line of scrimmage, take your one blitz, hang out in your backfield, make things go that way. And also, oh my God.
He's going for the one turn.
What the hell is it up with the North American leagues and people thinking one turning turn one makes sense?
It's not turn 1, it's turn 9.
Turn 1, the first turn of your... Is it turn 8? Is it turn 16?
No.
If it's not turn 8 or turn 16, then don't one turn unless you're down by multiple touchdowns, which by trying the one turn, you may be soon. So,
it's true. I was going to ask what you do on offense, the Rat League, for example. You want to go fast, you want to score because we wanted to show people how to actually play rats, and then there's the rat we needed earlier. So do you block the line and then try to go through the middle? Do you try to hit somebody on the side and do a screen?
Yeah, I mean, going through the line and breaking through the middle is kind of traditional, right? It's the way you're gonna get your most threats. I mean, it's the whole reason that this chevron defense works is because you give up the middle a little bit if the line of scrimmage hits go well, but you can collapse on it very quickly. So it's a really good anti-2 to 3 turn defense.
Yeah.
So the best way to attack it is to not plan on scoring in 2 turns or 1 turn
in this case, and that block's not.
Yeah,
I think you need to fill in this gap up here, and so you can push the zombie, which doesn't help either.
Yeah, you just don't 1 turn. It's not that hard. You don't even have sure feet, man. Here's the thing: if Minnow had no players on the field, right? Okay, hold on.
Where are you going with this?
Okay, so let's ignore the dodges. Let's ignore the passes. Let's ignore the catches. Okay. Right? Just the 3 GFIs are going to fail without a reroll 42% of the time.
Oh.
With a reroll, it's 13% of the time. So you're basically saying if my pass and my catch and all of my dodges hit correctly, I'm giving Minnow the ball 13% of the time. And the other 87% of the time, I'm giving him 8 turns to just beat me 2-1 anyway. You're not gaining anything. Here's the thing. If I'm your opponent and I'm up 1-0 and it's turn 9 and I see you're about to 1 turn, I'm like, well, great. Whether it works or whether it doesn't, I'm going to win the game now.
Yeah. Now, there's some teams where they're better on defense than they are on offense, and so, a real sack-happy Skaven team, you'd be a little worried about getting the ball back and then being aggressive again.
Yeah, and look, playing for draws sucks.
Oh yeah.
Like it just does. I mean, I might have lost a title shot in NCBB because I didn't do that with Undead against MRT's High Elves a few years ago. But so I completely get it. I mean, I just don't like I don't even mind scoring quickly if you think that's your best chance. If you think it's better to play for a win than a loss, I just don't like doing it turn one. It's just you're opening yourself up to so many rolls that can fail that like you can probably create a situation where you don't need them later.
Yeah, I think
Like now,
if you were still down players, like you hadn't got those KO rolls back, and you had a bunch of players knocked out, and getting them back was
could
important to
change
you.
it.
Yeah, contending in the rest of the game, maybe scoring one turn's viable. I think if you couldn't find a way to score in 2 to 3, then maybe it's worth it. But
I mean, in general, I think if you're losing and receiving at the half and you're down by one, and you're like, okay, which look, I almost always kick, so I'm very used to being down 1-0, being like, what the hell do I do?
right.
And you being like, look, I don't feel like being super lame and playing for a draw. I want to win.
Mm-hmm.
In a game like this, you're shooting a score in turn 4 or 5. You want to, in this one, maybe even more like 5 and 6. You basically want to score late enough in the half that for your opponent to beat you, they have to risk moving the ball. So if you're facing like a Kimry team,
Mm-hmm.
then you can probably, you score turn 4 and they have 5 turns, and it's like I can stop Kimry from scoring in 5 turns, or at least make them have to roll a lot of dice to do it.
You see,
Uh,
you see, that's exactly what my thought process was in the SLA playoffs. I held Kazarik scoreless at the first half with his Dwarf Slayer team, and I had my Black Ark Dark Elfish team. And I'm like, all right, I got the ball. I'm doing like elfy things in the backfield. He's pressuring me, but I go down and I get the pass completed, and I'm like, okay, I could stall, but I just use my reroll. It's probably it's 5 turns for like an even slower dwarf team than normal. I'll be fine. And then after I score and he's got 5 turns left, he literally removes 5 players in the next like 3 turns. It just all went downhill. Ended up winning in
yeah,
overtime. But
there's a bit of a difference doing it in a tie game versus doing it when you're losing, right?
of course,
Although in this case, it's like a draw. I mean, a draw is not a bad thing
mm-hmm.
for Apojar, especially how that first half went. But it's also like, okay, yeah, you can pull out of the one turn attempt if it looks like it's going bad early, as he did,
Mm-hmm.
and your team's in a really bad spot here. Like if I'm Minnow now, it's like the question's not what turn is Apojar going to score. It is Apojar going to score, and that's a big change because he didn't gain anything positioning wise turn one.
Mm-hmm.
He got less hits in than he needed to, which like yeah, they're probably not going to do anything. You're pro elves, but like if you get any, it's a pretty big deal. You gave up hits on the other side, and now you're kind of boxed in.
Yep, and that doesn't help. Although that is the AB6 guard. I would cut that guy. I'm gonna check Hawaii's financial situation with their scholarships because guard's great and all, but AB6 is just putrid.
Yeah, it sucks that he has 2 guards that are both AB6. One's also MA6, but he can replace. I mean, he has
40,
$400,000 in
400K,
treasury.
yeah.
I mean, he's got more than enough, and it sucks because like guard's awesome. This is why I also kind of just like don't like rolling guard for a skill. I also don't like rolling stats for a skill on like player types because
Yeah.
it's like okay, great, I need to get him to 31 to be the player I want him to be.
And he was only supposed to get to like 6 to be useful.
But yeah, so I mean, the other issue here is the ball carrier has really stupid, which I'm not sure Applejar's aware of by the fact that no one's next to said ball carrier.
He went for the completion, so he's gonna go stand next to him with the thrower and then have the thrower do or the catcher do what he needs to do. But
yeah, but when you throw that pass, you have the thrower be standing next to him when he throws the pass, so then you can at least like move both. Like this, all this does is it just makes things harder.
true.
And well, there we go. Now we won't have that problem. So that's a plus.
Okay, strength
But
5
it's
ball
another
carrier, but he's
error.
got no skills.
And it's another turn where at the end of the elves' turn, it's not looking better for them than it did at the beginning.
Not particularly. I thought you would have given the assist on the zombie there so you could
Yeah, I
get
don't
out of there with the
completely
block.
understand why you mark with one, if not both.
I mean, the odds of rolling a skull there are not. Like, all you needed was, like, anything else. Granted, you wanted to get away from that flesh column with tackle, but,
Yeah, I mean, it's, like, he got some bad dice there, but,
it was avoidable.
Yeah, like, it's just not, I mean, like, I get what he's thinking with the blitzer there, but, like, oh, okay. I mean, he kind of has to have the blitzer there because this dauntless white is a worry for you. But
I mean, that's asking Menno to roll some dice, and that's still a very doable play. But A, you could have set up differently with the ball earlier. B, did he use his? That was his blitz. So if you just blitz out of the zombie and then move the guy down there, you cover yourself and get the guy out of there.
yeah, so I mean, yeah, or like don't mark him at all and just leave, or mark and blitz with the other blitzer, right? So it's a 2-die, and then letting you dodge out with the one who scolded there. I think there was probably other ways to have played it. I will say, I do not like where Benjis Dorama is right now, where he's in the bottom wide zone. I'd really prefer him to be mid pitch. So then this white, you can kind of move wherever, not have to constantly worry about having both of them unmarked on opposite sides of the field.
Makes sense. I do like having at least one wolf in the middle, so the movement 9 in the middle literally just can get to either side whenever he wants.
Yeah, if I have one in the middle, I'd rather have it the one. Matters a bit less if the guy who has the ball doesn't have blodge, of course, but there's a lot of players who do. Because, like, yeah, now, I mean, if you look at this,
where's the
he has
blitz coming?
the white central now.
Here's the blitz.
Okay. I
think he wanted to take the ghoul and go mark the ball from the back, but
I mean, okay, he can still do that.
True.
He just blocks with his zombie. And I mean, of course, he can always dodge. But yeah, I mean, it's
not looking good for the elves.
I mean, this is let's see what happens with this ghoul. Let's see what he does with the other wolf. But okay, I mean, that dodge helps to an extent. But I'm looking at this as like, I mean, I might just be handing the ball back off to the really stupid catcher, blocking him free, running his ass down the sideline. And there's,
now you have no deep safety.
Like blitz.
Well, here's our last card. What are we thinking? Ooh, distract would be big. I feel like it's gonna be the chop block though. Nope, pit trap. Okay. Well, there's the handoff.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, even if that went elsewhere, I mean, it's, I guess if it bounces in the middle, you're okay.
That's aggressive.
Then
you're
what?
Blitzing, and you can tag the white, tag the guy you've already tagged.
But what? Okay.
Is he just going to dodge out with the catcher, I guess? But you can't. You have to go the long way.
And he's really stupid, so someone has to get next to him. I thought that you would want to try to blitz that wolf.
He's going to forget about. He's going to forget about the really stupid, isn't he?
Oh God! What?
And he just said, whatever. I'll just roll a 5.
Oh my God! That's. Oh, that. Oh, that's rough.
The worst part is there's a pretty obvious gap in between the elves for that guy to get caught at.
Yeah, I mean he's.
I mean,
Okay.
granted, if he was up one square, you could still just go down around the bottom.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
I'm not.
You didn't need to chance it. You could have just stood up the strength 5 catcher, and he would have given the assist for the.
Yeah, I mean, and like having. I don't understand. I'm not 100% sure why this was the best play. Now, like some of it, like those dodges are kind of whatever. Like, yeah, you try those. It's not a huge deal. But oh man, Minnow's got to not be happy. But like, does it matter? I mean, it's
You still get.
it's a
Well,
3+.
He can't score this
2 die.
turn. But yeah, I
No,
mean, you share your point.
Well,
Like on
no,
defense, yeah.
and the catcher that passed is in scoring range.
1,
So
2, 3, 4.
don't forget
5.
that. See a sprint.
True. The wolf can get there to tag, and then like you said, it's a 3+.
Dodge the other wolf, and you can try to make something happen. Yeah, so I get what Minnow was doing the turn before a bit more with the pit trap. Like it's like okay, like I see what you're seeing.
Mhm.
I think that I don't know that he needed to go all in at that point, right? Like he just could have kind of just turned the screws on Appajar and just taken out a player or two every turn, and at some point, he's hope that your opponent's going to panic.
Yeah, you just hit the break point.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, tag with the movement 9 wolf, dodge out with the white, get your 2 die with tackle. He has tackle, right? He doesn't have tackle. Okay, so do you
No,
want
I'm saying you
want to dodge with the
the
wolf?
that's who I'm talking about
3,
here.
4, 5, 6, 7. That's 1 GFI plus the dodge. I mean, it's not crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd also just be kind of fine with just like, I mean, I would be okay with just kind of moving everyone down there and then taking your hits and
Forcing him to score.
like, okay, great. You're not really like, I mean, hell, I'd be okay blitzing the Ely as well. To be honest, like either one.
Oh, here's our shot on the ball.
Just push. Got to be up. Yeah, towards the end zone next to the other wolf. Make it so max. Okay. I don't love this because, like, this is a pretty easy play, right? Like, you can just score this turn if you're Appajar. You're just rolling some dice. Let that. Oh well, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fine at this point.
Oh, that's not good.
Don't. Okay, I mean, it's like that dodge. Like, I don't know that you need to do it, and I don't like pushing. So he pushed the ball when he knocks it down. He pushes it to the column 1 off the sideline, which has some obvious issues. Like if it bounces down to the sideline,
it's free.
It's free unless you GFI, which you could have done. But then but even now it's like, okay, this is a 2+, 2+, 3+, 2+, 2+, 2+, 2+. And that's if he does it, just blitz the wolf off, which is what he's going to do. Now,
please go back. Please go back and tag the really stupid.
Yeah, well, the problem is to tag it now.
You're going to block yourself.
So you got to tag with someone else.
Well, you can reach with Melquise in the back.
Yeah, if he pushes them up to where that blitzer standing now, if he pushes the ball carrier there last turn, then there's more scatters that helps him, right? Yeah. And this was probably. I mean, this was a bad scatter, but I would argue.
Oh my God, he's going for. Oh my God, Hawaii fluff and all. Well, here we go. 1, 2, 3. And 3 of the 5 elves are back to 11. All right, we got ourselves a game.
Man, that Gratz just feels. It feels like there's something just a little bit. But I gotta say, man, team captain with the crucial fair. Yep. I mean, it is Storm Marshall's fault. I think we can all agree. But yeah, I mean, that's one of those things. Like I'd say every turn on that defensive drive, Minnow played fairly well, but he always did one or two things that I look at and I'm like, okay. And they're not big things, and we all do it. Like, I'm not trying to be like, haha, Minnow, you suck.
Right.
Like, I mean, hell, I remember when I joined in Sutherland's. I don't remember if this was my first or second season, but it was a draw, or maybe it was the one time Sutherland's beat me. Hell, I could have even. But I remember looking back at it, and I did this blitz onto the ball, and I was like, "Oh, I fucked that up. I pushed to the wrong square." Right. So now there's more bad scatters than good scatters, and so it didn't do anything.
Yep.
And it's just where the ball scatters like matters, which is not something that I ever really thought about for a really long time. But in that case, it's just like, okay, there's multiple scatters here that make it an easy score if I don't pick up the ball. While if he pushes it the way I was talking about, it's like, okay, now it's hard. Like, even if it doesn't scatter into 2 tackle zones, it's hard for the catcher to get there.
Yeah.
That being said, I still think this is going to be 2-1, most likely.
It seems likely. He's got 4 turns left, plenty of rerolls. Probably going to knock out 2 of the line of scrimmage guys. There's 1.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 guards are out. And that's the other thing. Like, you're putting AV6 guards on the line. That's just...
But who else do you put there?
Well, I'm saying you were talking about how, like, is it worth even having them?
No.
And if you're going to put them on the line of scrimmage, like, if you're leaving guys on the out in special situations, but one of them was on the line of scrimmage the first half too. So
yeah,
which sucks. I love hard elves.
I understand wanting a guard in the middle of your like 3-piece lineman combo that's all grouped together, but against a team that has strength 4 guard like this first column, like it doesn't fucking matter. They're going to get the 2 die blocks.
Anyone who has a single guard on their team, it doesn't do anything against.
Yeah,
because you can still block the outside. It's not doing a ton there.
Oh, I do have some bad news. You might remember from when we played in SLA, I had a lineman who was -AG, -AG, -MA. Maybe another -MA too. But he finally died. I was so bummed. Bubba Baxter or something. Like you
lost a player that was
he was the
horrible.
Perfect line of scrimmage fodder though. He was
just the perfect line of scrimmage fodder is someone who can dodge away afterwards when they don't die.
But he was just as likely to get hurt as a fresh lino, and I didn't have the funds to ever replace him, so I'm like, you know what? Just go out there and take hits. It was great.
Yeah.
And then he's
dead. The one thing here is it's like, I mean, once again, this was fine. And if his positioning out in front, like on the line, does make it hard for the elves to squeeze something through if he does fail there. But man, I always not having anything covering in case of the 1 and 9 is always rough. But I think looking at it now, like where all the rest of his players are standing, makes that okay. And yeah, I'm not 100% sure what the elves are going to do here.
Also, Apajar, you desperately need a kicker or 2. I think Rats and Pro Elves, probably Wood Elves too, need to have 2 kickers on their roster at all times. Yay? Nay? I mean, it's so handy.
I haven't played them much. Like, I don't have a kicker on Wood Elves. So that kind of tells you where I place the value in kick. I would take it. But I always did with Rats, right? I always had 1 or 2 with Rats.
Right.
I always have 1 or 2 with Vampires. It's just single skills on line elves can be so good. They can do so much. But that at the same time, like, it definitely doesn't hurt, especially as like a second skill. Like Fanapu, who has Blodge right now. If he got to a 3rd skill, I'd entertain kick. I was playing some Dark Elves in the Blood Bowl 2 competition, and I took kick as a 3rd skill on a line elf like right before the cup for that reason. And I think there is probably more value to it in a league setting like this as opposed to like a TV matching box setting, because there's enough teams around that like can really hurt you if the kick goes in the wrong place. So I mean, I think it's definitely a viable choice, but I'm not saying like 100% first skill have to have it either. And
And I suppose style of play matters a lot. For example, like Skaven are usually hyper aggressive. The Skaven playbook on Plasmoid's page is literally called Shoot the Gap, and the intention is you are in the opponent's backfield so they can't move the ball forward safely. So having kick there where you can kick deep is very useful. Now Apijar's defensive, style with Pro Elves doesn't seem to be a very shoot the gap style. Obviously, not having the kicker doesn't help with that, but it depends on knowing your team and how you want to play them. I think it's useful, especially Menno having the one ball carrier in the middle. If you force him to go backwards the first turn.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna need to stop talking for a minute,
Okay.
but I'll be back on.
Right. So, turn 6 for Apijar. He's got plenty of elves available. Somehow has to hold UNAM scoreless here and hang on for the tie. It's always possible. I suppose you can sneak someone downfield for a late score as well, but Menno's got a pretty even spread across the field. He's even got a ghoul in scoring position. I'm not sure you want to use the blitz on him. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but I think Menno's also wanting you to use the blitz on him. But I don't think he's really can give Apijar a better blitz, for example, on the ball. Aggressive reroll there, but no go. Does tie up 2 players potentially. Sending a zombie downfield. Okay, what's he there for? Sideline cage?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Which it's fine here. You have blood step. You're going to get the other wolf out in front. Although, again, I mean, I really want
to score with that
I
guy.
really wish that I would have got a couple scores on this wolf this game. I mean, hell, with the way the first half was, he could have probably even got a pass on the wolf if he'd handed the ball off early enough, possibly. There's really a lot of, okay, how do I mean, this player's so good. He just needs, to get to 76.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing about teams like Necro and Undead to some extent, like as we saw, like Apijar was down 5 players after 2 turns. I know most teams with ghouls have like the dedicated ball carrier who's like Blodge, sure hands, and sidestep, movement, all that good stuff. But games where you're clearly just wiping the team off the field and you're gonna score like 99% of the time, use somebody else to score. I know there's records and rushing yards and awards you could win. But like you're saying, like this werewolf could be one of the best players in the league if you let him. Or he dies. Nope, okay, he doesn't die. But yeah. Does Elrond really get better with another skill? Like what would you take on a normal on him? You've got block, sure hand, sidestep, like you could take sure feed or fend. I mean, they're fine, but the wolf, if he gets block, he's better than like your entire team combined. Not really, but Menno's gonna have 2 turns left to try to score here. Do you think he tries to switch field and get the ball to the ghoul, or do you think he can slow play it a turn and see what happens for the final stanza?
I'm sorry, what'd you ask again?
Something about what Menno's going to do here. Whether he's going to try to swing it up to the ghoul on a pass or something, or... Oh, no. Okay, Doctor finally does his job.
Yeah, that would have been that's a good Apo. That is a good Apo right there.
Good Apo by Apo. For Apo.
Anyway, this is actually interesting. Positioning here. I wonder if he's just going to score.
He is movement 8, and that's a tough injury on a useless player, so whatever.
And he has more money than he knows what to do with, clearly.
Mo money, mo problems, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you just blitz 1, 2, 3, if you can blitz Kai, and then you can just like walk in with the ghoul if you want. I don't know that that's best by any means.
But you have your one-turn defense still viable. Both flesh golems and your sidestepping ghoul are there. Doesn't look like he's going to do it though. You can still, yeah, you can wiggle this golem down here. You can. How do you get this werewolf? He hasn't used his blitz yet. It's a blodger. It's the flesh golem. Both are available, so you can probably sneak one right in front of the ghoul. 1, 2, 3. Well, that's probably it. Using the ghoul as the final cage corner.
Yeah, so it looks like he'll be fine. Like, yeah, you swing 1, 2, 3, 4. You might you might have to 1, 2. Yeah, you might have to GFI with the zombie if you don't get a knockdown on Bethley, but there's not a ton that can be done here for Apijar. Now, the one thing I'd say, which oddly enough, I kind of wish that String 5 was still around. It's only a 4+ to cage dive right now.
Yeah.
Here at this top corner. So String 5, obviously we get 2 dice, which is awesome. But if that's not blocked off by by a wolf dodge or something, then you just send Paivi on the 3+ dodge and see what he can do. So let's see where Minnow puts this guy.
So you're thinking where the zombie Gustav is? Like you're just dodging in between him and the ghoul and going for your frenzy shot on the ball with tackle? That's tougher. I don't think just tagging him with tackle after some blitzes is going to be enough.
No, you've got to do the dodge. I mean, it's a 5+ now, but like you just go, you can mark the top, you make that a 1 die, like it's the 1 play.
Yeah, I mean a 5+ with a reroll, and you do have dodge available. Yeah, 55%. It's slightly better than coin flip. 55%
for the knockdown. Oh, okay, never mind. I keep forgetting he has sure hands. I was going to say,
strip all right, but it's nice having sure hands.
Anyway, that's just that's not a winning play.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to win regardless. You know what I mean? Like this is something.
This is the quote unquote safe play that might get you a draw if your opponent is unlucky. Now, do you want to, chance your opponent being unlucky, or would you rather try to be lucky? And I mean, 55% going into what you said, like 55% again with the 1 die is not great, but I think they're better.
I will say,
than your opponents.
Credit to Apijar. This is one thing I've noticed from him that he's quite good at in these like frantic turns. Is his blodge step is usually positioned against each other very well, which is the big thing I'm seeing here. So like, it's a bit hard. I mean, you got blodge step on the ball, you got blodge step on top of the wolf on that catcher, and then blodge step again at the bottom.
Couldn't get.
And then if he hit that one,
that would have been nice. Yeah.
And so, there was something there. That being said, like the worst case. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. 1, 2. No matter what, like there's a 2D 3+, 2+, 2+ to score, like for sure.
Well, we'll see what Minnow comes up with here. Do or die. Turn 16, tied 1-1. Number 1/number 2 UNAM versus number 1/number 2 Hawaii. Just depends on what ranking system you look at. But either way, this is a big turn, perhaps for this entire season. And that's a terrible injury on a guy who already has the same injury. How does a double niggling injury work, actually?
It's the same. It's just +2 to injury.
Ugh.
That being said, I mean, the score's not locked in yet.
Yeah, was that the right blitz? Because you haven't really cleared a path. I mean, it is a 3+ dodge, which is okay, but I don't know. As Lizard players, we know the old 3+ dodge is not that reliable,
Your
despite what the
problem
number
is like,
says.
yeah, like no matter what happens, you're gonna have to do a 3. And like if you block the tackle, like right now you have to do 2 3 to score. And if you block the tackle to cut out the first one, and it's possible that like if you get pushes like and he does it twice, that just makes it harder. I mean, he might have blocked his path a little bit here.
He went for the handoff in the tackle zone. So there's a 3+ we didn't think we were going to see. There's a 2. And there's another 2.
3+2+2+ versus 3+3, roughly equivalent. And obviously, this is who I'd want to score on.
Well, I guess we got our wish. So
yeah,
that Werewolf gets the touchdown and UNAM gets the win.
Yeah, good job by Apajar making it tough without taking like we both thought that maybe you should take the shot at the ball, but like he made him roll quite a bit of dice. So, pretty good showing on both, I believe.
So Hawaii falls to 4-2-1. Certainly not done on the season. We've got 3-ish weeks to go and some makeup games after. UNAM will move to 6-1-0, I believe. So they're probably in the driver's seat. So UNAM has returned and they've pretty much picked up where they left off. So a good AKC conference battle between these two programs. We're going to bring you more games as they come. So thank you for anybody who is watching now and in the future. Thank you, Baz, for joining me again. And take care, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, thanks for having me.